Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Stadia Community Tuesday. And also welcome to the very first edition of Rokk's blog Bash. I keep wanting to call it Bog Brush. I'm sorry. It's my 5-year-old's, temperament and sense of humor. Anyway, welcome to episode 1. As you can see, I'm surrounded by amazing people here today. Let me just pop these on so you can actually see who we have here. Now, we have William, he's gone dark. Look, he's actually not wanting to tell you who he is, and that's fair.
Because he's the ghost.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll pop his name up here. There we go. William from Stadia Pro Gaming. How are you, my friend?
Really
and
well.
Then to my right, we have Eli Levy D. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here.
Now, what we will see, folks, is because of the way servers are set up around the world, there will be some people that will freeze and then they'll come back and they'll disappear and come back. But don't worry, because the whole thing about this show is spontaneity. We'll just quickly finish off who we're saying hello to today, and then we'll come back and explain how it's going to work. So next, below me, is the amazing John Scars, 4 Scars Gaming. How are you, John?
Good. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm tickety boo, as they used to say when I was growing up, and I never knew why. But I'm one of them.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'll have to use that.
Tickety, I don't know what it means. Who would want to buy a ticket to see a boo? I mean, that makes no sense at all, does it? And then to his right is the equally amazing Aaron, Stadia Vet Gaming. How are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome. I just finished a Marvel's Avengers stream. Prior to this, I was like, all right, I got to get off here. I got stuff, get lunch ready for the mini Stadia Vet, and then hop in here.
I did see you, yeah, and I thought, well, that'll be fun. Let's see how quickly you can go from one to the other. Fantastic to have you all on today. So the premise of the show, ladies and gentlemen, is that we will meet here every Tuesday at this time. Now, this is going to change in the UK because our clocks haven't gone forward yet. Happens next week, but have no fear. As far as you and the rest of the world are concerned, this is the time we'll be here. It may not be these gentlemen, but they're always welcome to come back. But it will be people from the Stadia Bash Community Network, which I am really proud to announce that I am now a member of. And this show is unique to the network from your very good self. So every week we're going to sit here and we're going to look at what Stadia has posted as their community blog typically on this day, this week on Stadia, but on Stadia. And we'll see what they have to offer. Now, we've had some great news this week, so we're not going to be short on detail, but sadly, as far as today's blog post goes, wouldn't it be irony of ironies, it's actually been postponed. So have no fear. Chris here, not that long ago, said, hey folks, please note this week's TWOS has been delayed to later this week. Thank you for your understanding. Now, as I've said, it's not a problem because we will always cover any official Stadia communications that have come out in the previous week. There happens to have been a really big one yesterday, which we'll get to in a second, and anything else that's happened in the meantime. But purely out of speculation, gentlemen, your thoughts on why it may have been postponed, starting, let me pull you all down here so that you're not covered up. There we go. Starting with you, Aaron.
I'm wondering, I know they don't like to announce anything, and they've made that perfectly clear. Like, that's the big thing, is they don't make announcements what they do anymore because everybody goes haywire if it's something they don't like. So maybe this is their way of getting ready to announce something even bigger than what they already dropped yesterday with stuff in the news. So that could be what they've got cooking up. Who knows? Like, I don't know what Stadia does half the time. I don't even think they know what they do half the time. So that's just my thought.
That's a fair shout. Now, before we go any further, that one of the great things about this show, and as I've said earlier, it is in celebration of the Stadia Bash community. The guests will always be fellow community members, and it's an open house. If I've given you the link, or if you like it, you just need to ask. And just so happens that we've got someone else about to join us, and here he is. Woo. Ladies and gentlemen, it's none other than Emperor Collins. How are you,
Collins?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to have you and welcome along to the inaugural episode. And I love the way that it's put me down the bottom as the superstar that I am. All I need now is some jelly beans as an overrider, and I've fulfilled my contract. So, how are you keeping? You're in Maryland, aren't you?
I am. Yeah. I'm on my lunch break. I had to get on the action.
That's superb. So we were just saying that, as you know, the show is all about Stadia content. Unfortunately for us, there isn't going to be a blog post today, but it's not an issue because we've got yesterday's big news, which we'll get to in a second. But we were just saying that Chris has obviously posted here on Discord, but also on Reddit, that they've postponed it until later in the week. Now, what's interesting, of course, is that they, having pushed one out yesterday, a big one, which we'll come to in a second, I was kind of expecting that they would either do one today or they'd not do one until next week, given that there was such a big news. And we were just speculating on why that may well be, because we know we've got pro games coming up, but that's probably going to be next Tuesday. You've not had this. The whole thing about this show is people thinking on their feet. So I'm going to throw that one at you as well. What are your thoughts? Have you got any thoughts as to why they may have postponed today's? And that's to you, Emperor. Oh, he's done. You see, this is classic restream for you. Oh, you're back. There you go. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So what are your thoughts? Why do you think they postponed it today?
Oh, I don't think there's anything really to report.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they just put everything out, like the whole, the Resident Evil. I mean, that's it. That's all you need for this week. I mean, and if they're going to hit us with something else later, then they will, Then
they do that. Yeah, fair shout. How about you guys? Any other thoughts? Any other speculation before we look at the big post from yesterday?
Well, I was thinking, if they had planned not to have something today, then you would have thought that maybe after the Resident Evil announcement yesterday, they would say, oh, we'll have something later in the week. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything, and I don't want to, give up anybody's hopes or build any hype, but maybe they're working on a deal that, that they can't announce until later this week, or, maybe it's really nothing at all. But you would have thought that, if they planned on not having anything this week, that they, would have said something yesterday, but who knows really. So
Dave Widnam in the chat says, could this be something else big on the kind of Resident Evil scale that hasn't quite been finalized?
Maybe they're going to buy out Discord.
No,
somebody is. and the irony of
Microsoft and buy out Discord.
The irony of Chris posting there's no TWOS, knowing secretly that he's about to announce they've just bought Discord on Discord, is prime irony. Eli, any thoughts on that? Do you think they've got something else in the wings?
No, personally, I think they're being too lazy. Or maybe they're just having a bad day or something like that. Because we've seen it in the past. We're waiting this week on Stadia. It's a Tuesday. There's nothing there. And 2 days later, they say, hey, Pico Nico is coming to Stadia. Hey, check out the pro games that this is the last chance. So I don't think there's anything huge coming up, but they're just being lazy. Yeah, that's just my thought from what they have done in the past.
William, Stadia being lazy.
Yeah, I don't know. They might have something getting worked on. The reason I say that is kind of what John touched on, which is, they didn't have to come out and say anything today, really. I mean, there was a big drop. So apparently something is coming. What that is, I don't know. Is it to get hyped over? I don't know.
Well, I actually got, let me see if I can find this for you guys. Yeah, I got notified in a tweet a second ago that there has been a little update today on the store, a brand new game. It's gone live. Let me see if I can find it. It's actually called Murder by Numbers. I'm trying to find it. It's going to be fun. And this is literally just...
Yeah, I actually got that press release from the PR agency about 10 after 12 Eastern Daylight Time, so about an hour ago, announcing that the game was coming to Stadia today. And also, I did see it rated earlier this morning, which I tweeted out as well. So this was one that we kind of had an inclining that it was coming earlier today, but it was nice to see, now that it is available on the store.
Was this one that is this one that Stadia had previously alluded to coming? This is just news today.
This is the news earlier this morning that it got rated, and then I got the press release a little bit after, about an hour ago, saying that it's coming to Stadia and the Epic Store today. So no official communication by Google yet, but yeah.
What's interesting, John, is that they've seemed to have found a way of bypassing the whole PEGI thing, because that used to be the way that we would know stuff was coming. But with the last couple of games, this one and I forget what it was last week, it was a big one, Dragon something or other.
Yep.
They completely they came up a little bit later and showed that they'd been cleared, but they've sort of managed to get them into the store before that's officially announced, which is great news actually, because nobody likes spoilers in gaming, right? And we were kind of what's been great is to see these games drop and not be aware that they're coming. I mean, that's got to be a better way forward, hasn't it? What do you think, William?
Yeah, well,
I definitely think so. Plus, what Stadia Vet was touching on is sometimes Google may not know what they're actually doing. They tell us certain things in advance, and then some people get upset, and then they tell us nothing. And some of these games are gems, and they do just pop in. I don't know. It's interesting.
Unfortunately, Emperor Collins had to leave. He did tell me that he was only going to pop in momentarily, but it was great to see him. It's lovely. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to with this show is putting faces to names for people that haven't quite made the transition yet, maybe to, owning software or installing software. They can put their camera over the top of the game. So there was an example, and it's fantastic to be able to say, hi, I now know what you look like and what you sound like. So that was great. Absolutely fantastic. So Murder by Numbers, it's very cheap. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it's 6 of your English pounds. So that's probably about $8, $7 or $8. A little bit more, obviously, in Canadian.
It's interesting. It looked interesting. One of the scenes in it almost looked like something from Minesweeper. Okay. If anybody knows that, the younger generation may not know what I'm talking about there.
Well, that certainly excludes me.
I might have just aged myself there. Well, it's a puzzle game, which is kind of neat.
Yes.
See, this right there, it kind of reminded me of Minesweeper.
Yeah, no,
but it's neat to see. That's like something I don't think I would have ever seen on Stadia. So that's kind of interesting that they've got a puzzle game, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, now it's single player.
Got everything going.
Presumably, you're up against the computer as opposed, which is a shame. But there you go. Keyboard, mouse, and gamepad. So I know very little about this game. I'm sure it's not unique to Stadia, but it's more content. And the most important thing, of course, is that we didn't know it was coming, other than John, obviously, with press releases today. So that is absolutely awesome. And thank you to everybody that tipped me the nod that had just popped in to Stadia. While we're at Stadia, and before we go on to the big news of yesterday, I just want to go to the store. This came to me via... Okay, let's go back to store. Don't you just love it? There we go. So this came to me via Duncan at Cloudy, but actually via, more importantly, Stadia DB. And it is, if we scroll right down to the bottom, excuse me if, these are my games. You don't want to see those. Blimey.
Man, you got a lot of games.
Too many. Too many. All the way down the bottom of the store page. And I think this is new, but forgive me if it isn't. Here we go. Leaving Stadia Pro soon.
Ooh. I don't think I've seen that.
No, I think it's just literally. I'm just trying to see if you get more screen here, other than blacking out my face.
I mean, we've seen it in the past. We have seen it in the past, and that's actually why I said they were being lazy. with their announcement, because what I think the new announcement is going to say, it's going to be a reminder to claim the new pro games soon and what the new pro games are going to be. This is an indication of it.
Yes, I think they mentioned these were leaving anyway in a relatively
So-
recent.
And I noticed on my channel, and I don't know if this is just me or because I had somebody else confirm it, that if you have Ubisoft Plus linked with Stadia on the home page where it shows all your games, it actually will say Pro, and then games that are associated with Ubisoft Plus, it actually says that on there now.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I happened to notice that when I was trying to figure out where my Marvel's Avengers was, because I have such a ginormous catalog for those in the Twitter and Reddit world that say Stadia is dead. I just don't understand, because I struggle to find games that I want to play.
It's in terms of death, it's a redundant statement, isn't it? It's not even not even worth giving.
I use it as a joke
valuable
now
oxygen.
almost all the time when I'm streaming. It's I've turned it into a joke to make tying it in with the amount of games, and that I keep buying more stuff and my wallet says stop.
No, absolutely. And the point is, and I think, Duncan Cloudy on Anthony's show the other day, I think it was something Anthony was particularly keen to push on, was the fact that Duncan had said several times Stadia is dead. Duncan's reasoning was that he felt that the name, the brand, the business model as we know it is on its last legs, although he didn't feel that it would be the end for Stadia. My personal feeling is that on a contractual level, purely on the basis of how much money it would cost them to reimburse everybody that's bought games that have no way of playing them anymore, would be a nightmare. And although it would only be restricted to the US, I'm sure, certainly the cost of litigation and the PR that would fall from it would not be worth it.
Oh
for
man,
them,
that would just be phenomenal to watch. The fallout of something like that would just be crazy. But I've always said, I can't see Google giving up on an industry that is, we all know is in the gaming industry is what, like a multi-billion-dollar industry. Like that, you would have to not care about business to give up on something like that and just throw that out there.
No, you're absolutely right. At the very least, they'll let all of those games continue to live until they're no longer supported by the developers in some host, some server base somewhere. So Stadia cannot die. I mean, once they took the decision to start offering people games that have a life cycle that they've paid for, they have to maintain the hosting of those games until the games are no longer supported. Once the developer says, I'm sorry, Anthem, it's going to die, and as of 2027 we're no longer supporting it, well then they can switch off that blade. So there is a commitment there. Will it fold into YouTube? It's a possibility. There's absolutely no evidence that it's going to happen, other than we know YouTube have been advertising for staff to get more involved in cloud gaming, but other than that we don't know. And of course, the official statements are the ones that we're here today to discuss, and that's the rest of it is complete and utter conjecture, speculation. Right, let's go to the big news of the week so far. If I can just find it in my here we go, screenshots, edge tabs, and there it is. Right, so this actually in a way is the big blog post of the week, whether or not it happened to happen today or yesterday. Set the community on fire, some in a negative way, but mainly a positive way. And of course, it is that the amazing news that Resident Evil Village, which is Resident Evil 8, is not only coming to Stadia, but it's going to be part of a Premier Pack, if you so wish, the same as Cyberpunk was. And of course, as well, they've announced that Resident Evil 7, which is an amazing game in itself, will be a Stadia Pro game. So who wants to kick off with what this means for the community?
I will. I think it's absolutely fantastic for Stadia, for the community, and for many people. A lot of people may have played Resident Evil 7. I watched my nephew play a little bit of it, but I skipped it. So this is fantastic for me and for a lot of other pro members who are looking for a AAA game to sink their teeth into, and who have been complaining about just indie titles. And on the flip side of that, pre-ordering Resident Evil 8, that's a next-gen title. So I'm super excited to see how well it's going to perform on Stadia.
That's a great point, actually, William, because I mean, my feeling is that if they're getting behind it in the same way they did with Cyberpunk, and let's not forget how blown away we were with the quality of the port of Cyberpunk. If they're prepared to throw the house behind Res Evil 8 in the same way, I can only believe it's going to be one heck of an amazing port. Sadly, unfortunately, John, I know this affects you. It's not going to be this offer. The Chrome, the old controller is not going to be available in Canada. No idea why that is. They must have completely exhausted all stocks in Canada. Maybe
I don't know. And even the Premier Edition isn't on sale here, like it is around other parts of the world.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know the reasoning behind that. I'm not sure.
Maybe that just points to the fact that there is literally no stock, and to be fair to them, if they had to pull it across the border with taxes and stuff, it's just not worth the bother for them.
Right.
It's all those it's everybody in Canada just buying out the Premier. They just don't have the stock left anymore.
It's an amazing deal and big news, because it's day and date. And we've said, I mean, the community has said that we're going to get to a point, and we're getting to it now, where we're going to get this stuff day and date anyway. The only reason it hasn't been day and date is the time it takes to port. And in the early days of Stadia, there were these games already coming to the end of their life cycle in terms of development, and there wasn't the time to get them squeezed in to day and date. Obviously, we've crossed that Rubicon now, so we're able to do that. John, you know much more about this from an insider's perspective, being, of course, the editor of Best Buy's gaming blog in Canada. What are your thoughts in terms of how this is going to reach the audience, what the effects likely to be?
I think this is pretty big news. And when I read, that Resident Evil Village is coming to Stadia, it literally just sent chills down my spine, because I think it's something that we've heard the rumors about it last fall, that that it was coming, and this is just this news is just another confirmation that really that Stadia Google aren't giving up on Stadia, and that we're going to be getting more big games. And it's not, as some headlines like to say, stagnating or things like that. It's just, Google, the Stadia is still in its infancy, along with cloud gaming. So there's mistakes, that have been made, and they're slowly learning. And I think things are starting to slowly pick up here. They saw with Cyberpunk just, the amazing response that was gotten to it, other than a high-end PC. Playing it on Stadia was the best experience. And I think really, that was a catalyst in part of their decision with SG&E. I just think that they say, hey, look, we can throw this money behind third parties that already have these development houses up and running, well established, and bring these games over. So, Resident Evil coming is just another, feather in the cap. The more games, the better.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what everybody asks for, is games.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I also saw some people complain, oh, well, I can't believe they paid, the rumor, obviously, $10 million to bring it over. Well, it's a new platform. I mean, I don't care how much they pay. They're investing in the hardware and the ecosystem. So, I mean, you can't win or lose, really. With some of the critics there, it's like no games, but then they bring the games. Oh, well, they paid too much to bring it over. Well, make your mind up.
They can't win. Yeah, they can't win no matter what they do.
It excites me. It excites me that visually we're going to be able to, with Stadia, compete with the next gen systems. I know we are getting the next gen games, but it's just really exciting to see it start to happen. See him coming.
Well, and the cool thing for me with the trailer for Resident Evil was that I know I talked to somebody else. I think had mentioned this, not here, but yesterday when the trailers dropped, that this is the first trailer that I've seen them where they're broadcasting it and it literally says no downloads, play instantly. Like I don't know if any of their older stuff had said that, but that's a big deal. Like for those with storage space issues and games constantly getting updated, and like, you know, that's the thing is like, you don't have to download, you don't have to update, you don't have to worry about running out of storage space. You just load it up and play the game.
And I think, you know, the key thing here is that, again, going back to when they did this with Cyberpunk,
no install.
They absolutely knew the quality of the port was so good that the reviews would say, hey, the best place to play this next to a PC is Stadia, and then take away the friction so that it's a friction-free process of playing it by, if you order now, you get the hardware as well. So it's the best gaming experience. And I think they're only going to do that with games where they are absolutely convinced it's going to be top notch. And as you rightly said earlier, it's next gen and those graphics are stunning. So that's the kind of quality that it can be anticipated to run on Stadia. Why wouldn't you want to?
Talking about next gen, I was actually investigating this game last night because I wanted to see if I should pre-order it or not. And I found out that it's also coming out on PS4 and Xbox One. So it's not a complete next-gen game, but it's getting ray tracing for the next-gen systems as well as the AMD graphics card. It's still unsure if NVIDIA is getting the ray tracing as well. So I wanted to know, do we think it might be possible that this could be the first game on Stadia with ray tracing?
Good question. What do you think, guys?
I don't think so.
It's a great question. It's hard to say. Considering that we don't even know when the games are coming, I doubt they're going to let us know when hardware's being changed in and out of the racks. So,
right,
you know, but I didn't realize this game wasn't next gen. I didn't realize it was getting the next gen patch. I thought it was.
No, it's been developed back when they first announced it here. What, about a month or so ago? They said, you know, it's developed side by side, both versions. So the game, from what I know, is still built like on PlayStation 5 and Series X. It's built for that hardware, but then they also, alongside it, built a quote-unquote last-gen version as well, along with it. So, I mean, I don't personally think we're going to see ray tracing on this. Upgrading the hardware this early, Stadia's only been here online for, what, a year and a half? I really don't think so. Would it be great and be an awesome surprise? Sure. But I wouldn't expect it, to be honest with you. You know, I think, really wouldn't at this point.
As long as the graphics look spot on, I'm okay with it. I mean, I look at a game like Marvel's Avengers, and a game that I hadn't touched since October of last year when I looked at it, and Anthony got me into playing it with him, and I was just blown away with whatever behind the scenes stuff had been done to make the graphics and everything in that game were just on fire. So I'm hoping, as long as everything looks good here and there's no real issues, I'm happy. I'm still happy regardless. You know, am I going to notice ray tracing? Probably not. Am I going to notice when they upgrade hardware? Probably not. I don't, unless I dig more into it. I'm just going to be excited for games coming to the platform and watching it grow.
Yep, exactly. That's it. I mean, yeah, the ray tracing and it's nice and everything, but it's not going to make or break the game, really. Like you said, just excited that the game's coming. It's still going to look good, and you know, I'm happy to play it. I've got it pre-ordered.
Yeah, I may not play it a lot, but that's just because I jump and then I scream and people laugh at me about that.
Well, how can you lose
with the Resident Evil games? So
how can you lose with this pre-order anyway? I know that things go on sale and stuff, but a controller's like $70. The Chromecast, when it's not on sale with the controller's $100, and I want this game anyway. So it's like you can't lose with this bundle. Yeah, you just can't lose.
Of course, there was talk of a software update to bring ray tracing rather than it being hardware related, which would be the kind of thing that I would expect to come out of the boffins at Google, whereby they could bypass having to replace the blades that are there already. I've seen some amazing stuff coming out of NVIDIA. The NVIDIA seller Skunk Works. I watched a video earlier where they have basically, this is unbelievable, they take the first frame in a video conference, they take the first frame of me, for example, and then through the rest of the video conference, they simply extrapolate my image over a model and then change the facial features depending on expressions in the video. So the compression is a percentage of what it would take. So you can literally have three, instead of 720, sort of, 300, 200 DPI, PPI graphics, but they look like 1080p because it's doing all this work using AI. So, when you've got that kind of stuff that's coming shortly, I'm not suggesting that we're going to be seeing ray tracing using software on the 7th of May. But, they've postponed a TWOS. Maybe they're going to be making an announcement on Friday.
And you know what, though? If anybody could pull a software-based thing like that off, it would be Google. Exactly. Or Microsoft. The software side of things, Google is, they look at their phones. The phones, the hardware and phones are not the best with the pixels, not going to lie. But the cameras, that AI stuff that uses it, they're like one of the best cameras. The picture quality and everything is one of the best on the market, next to like Samsung and Apple. So for them to do something like a software-based update behind the scenes for Stadia would not surprise me in the least. To make the graphics even better than they already are on some of the games. I
absolutely think that's what's going to happen, Aaron. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a hardware update. And even if it is, again, something I know Clive, who's in the chat, hi Clive, has made big play off. They're not going to be doing a big, hey, it's Gen 2. It's just going to happen. You're going to be playing a game and someone's going to go, yeah, it's got ray tracing in it. Oh, wow, you're right. That's how it's going to go. I'm sure of it.
For the normal people, the normal gamers, no one's going to notice it. Like, I tried it on GeForce Now, and I could not. I turned it on, and I'm like, I don't see a difference. It looks good, but I'm not a techie enough to understand how to pick out where it amps it up. Yeah. All I care about is, does the game play and does it look good? Then I'm happy.
I still think 60 frames per second on a high, crisp quality 1080p is still the best.
Yep.
I'd much rather have 60 frames per second than, in fact, when you get the option of ray tracing or 60 frames per second, I always go for 60 frames per second. It's just, personally, I think it looks better on a game.
I agree with that.
Yep.
So the other thing that was announced here, which I think is super duper exciting, is that we now know that at least one pro game that we're getting next Thursday, I think it's the first, is going to be Resident Evil 7 Biohazard Gold Edition. So it's not even the basic edition. We're getting it with some DLC thrown in as well as a pro game, as a warm-up. And this, to me, indicates how much they've got invested in the village. There was obviously a big deal that went down here. We want the village, and we want Res 7, and we're going to pay this. It's got to be the best damn port you could possibly do, and we're going to bet the house on this and throw. It's our next big cyberpunk moment, I think. You guys, I'm guessing most of you have played Resident Evil 7.
I haven't.
I've seen it.
I played bits and pieces.
Yeah, same here.
I was actually watching gameplay last night because I was thinking, should I pre-order Resident Evil Village? And I tell you, I just watched about 1 hour and I got so scared, so I don't think it's a game for me.
Well, there's
I
helped my nephew with a certain part in the game. I'm not going to give spoilers away or nothing, but there's an old dude who won't die, and he scares the britches out of you.
Is this the one?
I think this is the mini vet.
Hello.
He likes to pop in and boost the numbers for everyone.
No, I love it. I'm all for family joining, mate. That's absolutely no issue at all. Is it the one that they brought out on VR? Because I played a VR headset one, and that was pretty.
I would not do.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah,
I like some of the Resident Evil games, the newer ones, when the graphics are getting there. The problem is I play those games at like night, and then it's silence, just like in the movies, and I know what's going to happen, and I still jump at it. playing it in VR, I don't think I could even do that one. That would be a little bit. That would be pushing it for me.
All I can tell you guys is, as you get older, you just seem to get less scared. I think it's nature preparing you for the inevitable. Quite frankly,
for the long dark.
Yeah, exactly. I played.
I think this was. Sorry. I was going to say about Resident Evil 7 is I think this is great for them making it pro, because for the people that aren't quite sure about Resident Evil Village, this will give you, even if you aren't subscribed, for $10, you can play the game, and it gives you it's kind of like to whet your appetite, what's to expect to come, because based upon even the Resident Evil Village demo that's out now for PlayStation 5, just comparing it now to 7, and Village is even so much better. So I think if you enjoy 7, you're gonna like Village for sure.
I mean, they announced that it was coming back in, was it The Good Stuff, where they showed the sort of trailer for it, or at some point in the past they've covered it, haven't they? It's coming to Stadia.
What?
The Village, or am I completely making that up?
No. Yeah. No, this isn't. It wasn't until yesterday, which happened just to be, I believe, it was the 25th anniversary of Resident Evil's yesterday. Yeah. So that's the first announcement that was the confirmation of it coming to Stadia. Yeah. Wow. So this is all. Yep.
So yeah, genuinely.
I mean, what better way to announce it than on the 25th anniversary? I mean, you're going to go big and make an announcement. Pick the best time to do it, and I think that was probably the best way to do that, and I applaud them for it.
Google was very, very smart to add it to Pro 7. It'll force people to buy 8 along with the bundle. I think it's great marketing. I mean,
and that, William, surely says more than anything else, there is still a very active business happening behind the scenes, behind Stadia. If they genuinely have given up on this, and they're just walking away slowly and less awkwardly, there would be no deals like this taking place, or it would just drop. We've spent the money, let's just put the thing out there anyway, but let's not do any promotion, let's not make a big song and dance. They're making a big song and dance. They're putting premiere packs out there at the back of this. They're connecting it with the 25th anniversary. They're throwing Resident Evil 7 into the mix. They are still keen. Stadia's not dead, right, Aaron?
Exactly. And for those that are still complaining about, well, they didn't do their TWS. Hey, maybe their next big announcement is going to be the Mafia trilogy's dropping, and they're just going to sneak that one in there. Because remember, that was announced. They already said that was planning on coming, but then they've been silent from the get-go. They announced it and then nothing. And I've tried to find through people, and nobody can figure out anything on it.
Like the EA games, they're supposed to be a partner, I think.
Yeah, EA still got 2 more games coming to the platform. So, I mean, Stadia's got some, they've got ways. They've got a couple of games. They've got 2 unannounced EA games. They've got the Mafia trilogies. So they could easily amp it up and hype those things up. I'm hoping the other EA game is EA College Football, but, that's just me.
Was there any word? Was there any word on the Mass Effect remake trilogy or whatever, the enhanced versions coming to Stadia? Do we know if that's happening?
No, not yet. Nothing publicly has been said.
Okay.
I mean,
but that's a good.
That is a creepy picture.
we still have 90 games coming to Stadia this year, at least, because we've only had 10 so far, and we're getting 90 more.
Yeah, at least. I had real high hopes that Anthem was going to be coming to Stadia, but they were dashed. I was so looking forward to playing Anthem on Stadia. So Resident Evil 7 Biohazard Gold Edition, as you pointed out, I, like an idiot, did play it in VR. It did have its moments, I have to admit. But it's a great game, and graphically superb. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. And you're so right. You don't need ray tracing if you've got good character mapping and good modeling and a great story, and a great soundtrack. All of that stuff's what makes a great game. Not whether you can see your character reflected in the windows so much.
The ray tracing stuff to me is just overkill. That's for the tech nerds that love that kind of stuff and have to keep pushing the limits. I'm a gamer. I just want games to run, look awesome, and be playable. This one, I think if this is the one that I think of, I think this was also on Amazon Luna, and this was the first Resident Evil I tested. And I know I jumped a couple of times playing that game because, like I said, there are scenes in this game, folks, where it goes silent, just like in the movies, and you know that something's going to happen, and you still jump. So
you can't help it.
I hate it because
they do the
catch
jump
myself
scares. They do those jump scares very creatively, though, don't they, Vet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I do wonder whether ray tracing is the kind of gaming equivalent of 3D TVs. You know, like, there's a big 3D. It's in Lego. It's in 3D. And then who's got a TV now with a 3D eye patch thing?
Right?
I mean,
Nobody.
Exactly.
I think they've gone extinct.
Exactly.
They are dedicating a graphics card area though for the ray tracing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm being flippant, and it will come. And I've got all the boxes. You know, I've got the X's and the 5s. I've got them all, and it's true that, you know, some games like Miles Morales looks absolutely amazing with ray tracing as you go past all the big skyscrapers and stuff. You know, it does look really, really good. And other games, you think, I don't know why I bothered. It brought nothing to the game. So, you know, there's all that to come. Of course, we've got Outriders coming up shortly as well on Stadia, and that's cross-platform.
Multiplayer.
You know, I'm actually more excited for Riders Republic, I think, than Outriders.
Have you got a Ubisoft Plus account?
No, I don't, because Stadia has such awesome sales on those Ubisoft games. I own most of them. I don't need Ubisoft Plus.
I do. I have Ubisoft Plus, and I still buy all the deals that they drop. So just like they put, you know, I paid the $15 a month for Ubisoft Plus, and then I'm like, oh, that's such a good deal. I can't pass it up. And I said that one time, and they're like, don't you already get them? I was like, yeah, but I can't pass up that Stadia deal. Eventually, I'm going to own them all, but I'm just like, I can't turn them down.
I know.
They're too
I
good.
absolutely love Ubisoft. And of course, Far Cry 6, that's got to be coming up in the not too distant future as well.
Very excited.
I've never played a Far Cry that I've not really enjoyed.
It took me a while to get into the Far Cry series, but I think as because I used to just brush it off and stick to sports, and then I got older, and then I started branching out and trying things. And once I got into it, the storylines are what get me into this. It's almost like the Assassin's Creed games. I never used to like those, and then once I gave them a chance, the storytelling and how detailed some of these games are, it amazed me. Yeah, plus I'm a history nerd, so I love that stuff too.
100%. No, 100%. Same as myself. I mean, for the longest time, I couldn't get into Assassins or Far Cry, and then I did, and now I absolutely adore them. I love them to pieces. Amazing quality stuff. So we've got that to look forward to. We know that 7 is going to be a pro game next Thursday. We've got another show before the first, but you guys want to make a poke at predicting what else could be joining 7, Resident Evil 7 next Thursday?
Hello, engineer.
I don't know. It's oh, that would be
Terraria.
Oh,
sorry, you said poke the bear, didn't you?
Wow, that would be a poke.
I'm gonna call out. I'm gonna say Ark because you know that they still said that one. That would be a good one to see.
That's a good one.
It's definitely a pro game. They've just not committed to which month yet, have they? But I think it's a very likely pro.
If they did, I will say though, if they did Terraria, man, would that be a slap?
Imagine all that fuss the guy made, knowing he'd already given the darn thing in pro anyway. He's already been paid for everybody owning a copy.
Just saying, there's going to be more to that story. I can't wait.
Nothing says negative feedback, negative press than Google making everybody pay for a game, and then be like, "Oh, guess what? Now we're going to give it to you free, anyways."
So Endeavour says, "Hello, engineers, too soon. There's a beta coming next month, so that's a fair shout. But it's going to be. I mean, we're definitely going to get more than Resident Evil 7. There's no question of that. And of course, you can always look in the box of recent indie reduced priced games on Stadia to get a fairly good feel. Do you guys think we're going to be back to the land of 4, 5, 6 free games, or do you think we're now going to be 2, 3 max from for further on?
I think it depends on how long they hold out on, what games are coming and are ready. And I think it depends on if they're going to give us AAA games. I mean, this might be the start of 1 AAA game and 2, indie game. Who knows? I know it's a complaint a lot of people had with the Pro membership was the lack of AAAs. And,
but if you look at the way if they go and do that, 1 AAA and maybe 1 or 2 non, doesn't Xbox already do the same thing? And Sony does the same thing with PlayStation Plus. They throw in 1 big game and they throw in 1 small game. So
sadly, I don't think Stadia is trying to compete directly with them. I mean, but I'm just saying, based off for those that complain, like they're just not, I'm just comparing that's the same thing. Like you get there are other services that do the same thing. So, would it be, I just think whatever they do, either it's going to have to top Resident Evil 7 or it's going to just have to be, on par with it, because the hype level, you've just dropped the biggest hype level you could do right now leading up to April 1st is with Resident Evil 7, and now you gotta it's like what can you do that's either on the same level of quality or everything else is just gonna be like
And if you've invested that much money in bringing the Resident Evil franchise to the platform, are you genuinely going to drop another AAA within days of announcing it? I can't see that happening.
No. Yeah. No, but the way the structure is every month we could get a free AAA game. That's unlikely too. But how long could they keep up giving us 4 games at a time? I mean,
maybe they're going to be like the T-Mobile. Maybe they're going to be like T-Mobile and just shake up the industry.
I definitely think that the last 18 months has been about trying to build up the library and get as much content out there as possible. And, why not give a chunk of those as free pro games? Because it's good vibes, it's good PR. And then they're in the library full stop. Now, as they have run out of some of that early cannon fodder, and they're relying upon deals that they've done. We're going to see less of those, of course we are. But what I'm really excited about is what happened here, and what seems to be happening now is all of these are coming as a surprise. I mean, we know because it says here, of course, that Outriders is coming. We mentioned it just now. Judgment's not far behind. Hello, Engineer Eli, as you alluded there.
And Judgment is next gen only.
Right. Okay. So, that to me says a huge amount in terms of where Stadia is looking to pitch itself. But those are games we know about. And it's quite clear that for every game that we know is coming, there's at least one big name game that we have as yet no idea is going to arrive on the scene. That's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the library and wanted to make some predictions. Cake Bash, I think it's very possible, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Because Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the only Tomb Raider game that hasn't been on Pro, and right now it's on sale everywhere, to be honest. You can get the whole trilogy for, I don't know, I think it was $15. So, yeah.
Well, they've given us great pro titles. The Hitman series was fantastic as a pro game. The Resident Evil is going to be great. I see that SteamWorld Heist or Quest is leaving the pros. You guys should always check those out. Those are fantastic games. The SteamWorld Quest games or Heist.
Yep. I have not.
They're really, really, really good.
I think, and then if looking down the road, I could say, trying to figure out like what's the next big thing that Google's going to do besides the hardware stuff. Another one that they could easily do that could really hype things up, and I don't know if it'll ever happen. Maybe they get EA Play on the platform. I mean,
that would be awesome.
You want to shake you want to shake things up, go tell everyone we're going to bring EA Play and you get the EA subscription service now.
Yeah.
Just give us Rogue Squadron and I'll be happy.
Well, there is a train of thought that says, largely, by the way, my train of thought. So don't feel free to kick it right in between the teeth. But there is a train of thought that I've had, which is that in essence, partly the reason that they abandoned SG&E was that they were getting the large studios saying, we're not going to come and partake of your platform if you're going to be competing with us head on with your own games that may or may not.
That's a good thought.
You know, and so maybe in order to get people like EA fully committing to the platform, or Activision Blizzard or whoever, they had to sacrifice the golden goose. And maybe come back at it at some point in the future. But I personally think that's why they decided to call it a day on the studios and not try and be a competitor, but to be a platform partner.
I don't know though, because if you think about it, then what would the same thing be for, let's say, Sony?
Or
I mean,
Microsoft.
all their first party games are killer, right? Microsoft has 20 some odd studios now. So I don't know if, it's possible that some could have said that. I don't know, but I don't think really, to be honest, that that was a factor in
we just don't have enough
SG&E.
There's not enough
information about the closing.
Maybe
we don't know. They decided this like months and months and months before we even heard a whisper of it. So to know exactly what was going on is extremely difficult to say.
Yeah. Maybe they closed it and down the road we're going to get this massive bombshell, and they partnered up with Nintendo, and they're going to bring us a multiplayer Super Smash Brothers on Stadia.
You're telling me I have a shot at Zelda.
All I want to know is if the ditching of SG&E was known as Project Hailstorm, did the guy that coded that into the app get the sack? That's all I want to know.
He got kicked in the sack.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Gentlemen, we have come towards the top of the hour. I'm very mindful and conscious of the fact that we've got to kill it after an hour. So I think what we'll do is, because we've given it a fair shout, we will get rid of this. We'll bring ourselves back up. There we are. I'll put myself over here, so I'm looking at you, professional to the end, you see. I will go through the rigors of finding out where we can find you all before we call it a day. So as you're right there at the first box, Eli, and I'll bring up your Twitter. There we go. Do you want to tell people where they can find you as part of the Stadia Bash Community Network and the kind of content they can expect to see?
Yeah, as you can see on the screen, my name is Eli Levy, followed by a D on Twitter, and my YouTube name is also Eli Levy, but it's so generic. So if you type Eli Levy followed by Stadia, it will pop up. I'm usually streaming for the SBCN on Thursdays at, I think it's 7 GMT, 11 PT, and I'm doing mostly Hitman content, but I'm also spicing it up.
Yeah, I hear you're a bit of a Rain Man when it comes to Hitman.
Yeah, I enjoy speedrunning. That's actually why I recently bought a mouse, so I could do it much faster.
Wow. I remember those days.
Okay,
William.
Eli's not going to brag for himself. Let me brag him up a little bit, man. This guy, he can go into the world of Hitman, start running, turn to the left, and go, that guy's out of place. He shouldn't be there yet.
Seriously.
Come on, it's just amazing, Eli. You got to give yourself a little more credit, man. But I am William, and you can find me on YouTube at Stadia Pro Gaming. I stream Mondays for the SBCN at 12 CST, and currently I've been playing Doom 2016, and a evil playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2's main story.
When you say evil, you mean you're playing the baddie, essentially.
Yes. Rockstar tends to want you to go two ways: make the guy evil or good. And I'm going to be a no-conscience brigand. So.
You got the Stadia Vet approval on that one.
John, how about your good self?
You can find me on Twitter, 4scars_gaming, on YouTube, 4scars gaming, and play a wide variety of games. I stream on SBCN Tuesday evenings, so tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And you can also find me at the Best Buy Canada blog, is blog.bestbuy.ca.
And that's readable by anybody around the world, not just if you're a Canadian.
Yep.
which I adore. Brilliant stuff. Thank you. And finally, but by no means least, Aaron, your very good self.
Yes. So you can find me on Twitter at Stadia Vet Gaming. I'm on YouTube and Twitch under the Stadia Vet Gaming logo. I stream on the SBCN on Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I do everything Stadia, and I throw in nightly streams of PlayStation Now. So I stay within that cloud gaming genre. But Stadia, I'm all over the place. So and if y'all want to schedule from me, it's just turn your notification bells on, because it's 1 to 3 shows. I don't have an actual schedule.
I want to interrupt real quick. Collins Dynasty says that he streams for the SBCN Thursdays at 7. What
Brilliant,
time
thank
zone?
you. I was going to mention him. I was poised with the button there, but thanks for that. That's brilliant. So when does he streams Thursdays at 7?
Yep.
And that's what That's Eastern, because he's Maryland. So yeah,
okay.
EDT.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, I know about my American time zones. Don't you worry. And then there's me. I'm Rokk. I have been Rokk. I usually am anyway. And you can find me at Twitter at Stadia Rocks, and you can find me on this here channel. And of course, you can join us all again. Not necessarily my good friends here, but they are very welcome to come back. Amazing guests, every single one of them. At Tuesday, which will be the exact minute that this week on Stadia goes live. I hope you've enjoyed the first show. I've certainly enjoyed it. Gents, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for coming.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having
Definitely.
me. Yeah.
Absolute pleasure. And I do hope you'll be able to join me again next week. Who knows? Certainly whenever you guys are free. I will leave you with an outro video based on the intro video, but it's slightly different. See, you get value for money on my shows, I can tell you. Say goodbye, everybody.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.